else. Um, okay, so again, a very good morning to those who have joined recently, and I welcome everyone, especially the students of Raisoni College of Management. And I welcome you, Chawasa. Thank you so much for joining us today for this session. So, so this is another segment on the series of sessions that we have been doing for the last few weeks, titled Motive Talks, and we are really grateful to have you with us, sir.
Thank you.
And yeah, so moving forward, we have Dr. Manish Chawar, sir, and he's the HOD Department of Management, GH Raisoni Institute of Information Technology, Nagpur, and has been heading the department successfully for last 10 years. He has completed his MBA from RTMNU, also graduated with a BCom in Commerce and Finance from the same. And Manish sir has served at various managerial positions with different organizations, as in a territorial manager with Dickfield Financial Service, relationship manager with Angel Financial Advisor Private Limited, associate financial service manager with ICICI Prudential Life Insurance Company Limited, to name some of them. With his work being published and has also conducted workshops, undertaken projects, and has a good amalgamation of organizational and academic experience. Today, he is going to present some case studies and through that help us connect and learn more about the different managerial aspects that may arise in any given situation. We thank you for joining us today. And so now the session is over to you. So we have 10 o'clock is running. So we have 30 to 40 minutes for the speaker,
Right,
and then the rest is for the interaction. So
right.
I request all the students, if they have any question, only put in the chat box. Don't unmute yourself and ask. Only put in the chat box. I'll get it from there. Okay. So now we can start. So thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Ashmat. At the outset, let me wish a very good morning to all the senior teachers from the Department of Business Management, and I also thank my people in the senior management at Raisoni Group of Institutions for letting me interact with all of you. Now, today we are going to discuss a little bit about how restructuring happens or takes shapes in big multinational corporates in various sectors. We are going to cover in short about Coca-Cola, Dabur India, and the Indian Airlines. All right. Yeah, I hope I'm audible.
Yes,
Right.
yes, yes.
Okay. So we start with Coca-Cola. The only beverage company, the global leaders, just employing more than 700,000 people, more than 500 brands which are offered in 200 plus countries throughout the world. Right? Can I have the next slide, please?
Sure, sure.
Yeah. So with this kind of magnitude, the issues are bound to happen. It could be through the management side, it could be through the side of the employees, or maybe through the governments where in the countries in which they are providing their services or drinks, right? So to begin with, we'll have a look at how it all shaped up in India in the late 90s. What were the major issues? The scenario back then was, from 1991 to 1998, Coca-Cola had four CEOs. So definitely the most unlikely situation for any global leader dealing in any kind of manufacturing or service industry. Right? They had arch rivals Pepsi surging ahead. They were witnessing that Pepsi was slowly but surely, surging ahead and capturing all the markets wherein they had a foothold. There was a heavy employee exodus. Now, exodus means in common parlance understood as employee turnover. And a lot of people were leaving the company due to some or the other kind of resentment, unhappiness. There was less job satisfaction and other such stuff. And then there were negative media reports as well. Media needs something which can be sold, that we can see every day. It hardly covers the bare facts, what exactly is happening. So there were a lot of negative media reports, not only in India but throughout the world. Right. The next slide, please. Coca-Cola had made heavy investments in India and Japan. The then globally, this area was known as Asia Pacific. Now there are of course many countries which are being added to the Asian countries, but then it was Asia Pacific. Two or three big nations were considered as the Asia Pacific region. Among around 1500 crore were spent only to acquire bottling plants, right? Only to acquire their services, right? Extravagant expenses were made towards housing the executives at lavish places. You know, you have these international meetings and the high-end executives or top-end executives coming to India. So you make them stay at seven-star hotels or lavish guest houses and all. The result of which, and then there were foreign trips to bottlers as added incentives. So all that, was a little bit too much on the finances. Now, the result was, there were heavy losses which were witnessed. Can I have the next slide, please? The result was there were heavy losses witnessed. It led Coca-Cola, report a huge loss of 52 million US dollars. Back then, in the late 90s, 52 million US dollars was a very, very, very big amount, humongous. Right, writing off the assets worth 405 million US dollars, which means the value of those assets was zero. There were no reduction. I mean, if you talk about the Indian excise duties, then there were no reduction. They were expecting certain reductions in the excise duties, so it can, be a little bit more pocket friendly for them. But there were no reductions. It further led to compounding of issues for Coca-Cola India. Right. Next, please. What it did, so very smartly, what Coca-Cola did, they went in for a merger, not with any other company or any other soft drink giant. The merger was between their own bottling units and their own subsidiary companies. In 1999, Coca-Cola had four mergers with Hindustan Coca-Cola bottling in the northwest, and then they had their bottling units in southwest and southeast and the other region of India. So all the four bottling units, they were merged. Two new companies, Coca-Cola India, the corporate and the marketing office, and Coca-Cola Beverages. They were the result of this merger. However, human resource issues in such a merger gained significance at the company level. The merger brought with it over 10,000 employees from diverse portfolios, different categories, different castes, different abilities, doubling the number of employees it had in 1998. So we can imagine in 1998 it had only 5,000 employees. Now it was 10,000. Next. It had to go in for a massive restructuring exercise focusing solely on the company's human resources to ensure smooth acceptance of the merger. As human beings, we're always averse to change. If somebody wants to change something, we are the first ones to raise an objection. That basically is the human tendency, and we carry it all along throughout our life. And if our parents say that you must change your habits, why should I change my habit? So I know whatever I'm doing is correct. So we carry that same attitude at our workplaces also, and somehow we object to all the changes. And remember, students, change is always for the betterment, right? If you look at it from that point of view. Then there was a new organizational structure that was brought in. Profit and loss accounting at the area level was made mandatory. How? By renaming each plant in charge as a profit center head. So instead of having a profit center region or a zone, each bottling plant was named as a profit center head. And the plant in charge was definitely answerable. He was made answerable why the profits were high or low, or why there was a loss. So individual responsibility handed over to the profit center head. Next slide, please. The country was divided into 6 regions as against the initial 3. Right? India initially was divided geographically in terms of manufacturing or supply chain in 3 regions. But with this merger and this new restructuring, what Coca-Cola did, it divided India into 6 regions. Each region had a separate head. which was named as regional general manager. All right. Then the regional functional managers reported to the regional general managers, and the regional general managers reported directly to the VP operations, and VP operations reported to the CEO. So the hierarchy was shortened down and everybody was given specific responsibilities. In this case, what happens is you find more people to work rather than more people to answer. There were many workers and very few people who were answerable because they had the controls in their hands. Right. Next slide, please. A VRS scheme was offered and almost 1,100 people took benefits of that VRS scheme offered by Coca-Cola's new companies. The merger carried forward people from different work cultures, profiles, backgrounds, and geographical locations because there were a lot of transfers which were made. So somebody working in the bottling unit in southeast was made to travel along to southwest, right? And then he had to work there. So definitely he brought in some different work practices, work cultures, his own background, he had his own presumptions about the locations and working with people from different cultures. But what Coca-Cola did, the entry level and the middle level jobs were strengthened. They were made attractive. People were offered new jobs after 1100 took the benefits of VRS, right? But what it did, it diluted the centralized control. Earlier, the control was entirely with the management, but with this kind of restructuring, the three zones being divided into six, there were profit center in charges reporting to the regional managers, then they were reporting to the CEOs. So it diluted the centralized control, and every regional manager was directly responsible for the performance of his region. It led to unrest, a very, very simple but a very, very effective technique to keep people bound and together. Right, a cost reduction drive was also undertaken. How it happened, I'll come back to it after discussing the next point. Infrastructural and human resource efficiency was increased to the full. Right now, how the cost reduction drive was undertaken, that we'll see when we see the next slide. There were the company had many properties. What these big giants do, they have a practice of investing in properties which during the difficult times may be sold off, or for which they don't have to pay any rent and they can shift their offices there. So Coca-Cola had many properties in India, mostly in places like Gurgaon near Delhi. Right? So the company, after 1998, hardly purchased any properties. They surrendered the less used rented properties, salaries were restructured, performance appraisal system was introduced, action on those working against the principle of integrity was taken. There was a particular issue in the Southeast bottling plant, where some of the people were involved in financial bunglings. So a private detective agency was hired. The entire scam broke out, though the people admitted to their guilt, and they were sacked off. Right. So again, I mean, as CEO Alexander Khan, he had a close eye on the activities throughout, in all these six regions. The company officials brought in more transparency for mutual benefits and growth. Company officials then started to discuss about the strategies with the middle and the lower level officials. Usually what is expected is that the lower level people would follow instructions only, but here, since the company moved from management dominated to the people's company, everybody was given a chance to share the opinion as and when deemed necessary. Yeah, next slide please. So this was about the restructuring, and then we'll have a look at the results. In 1999, Coca-Cola reported an increase in case volume by 9% after the restructuring. You know, uh, this case volume means the number of cases sold. Case means a crate that we understand. A crate has usually 18 to 24 bottles. Such cases, the number of selling of cases, its volume increased by 9%. The volumes increased by 14%, the market share increased by 1% after this regionalization drive where, you know, 3 regions were divided in 6. The company's improving prospects were further reflected with 18% rise in sales in the second quarter of the year 2000. So since 2000, the company has been witnessing continuous profits and a turnover in the markets. This was the result of a 2-year drive that was undertaken by the company, the restructuring drive, where they looked after people, they looked after their needs, they looked after their markets, and they also looked after themselves. Next slide, please. We move on to Dabur India Limited, right? Just to let you know, it was founded in 1884 by Dr. S.D. Burman in the then Kolkata, now Kolkata. The primary mission was to manufacture healthcare products, right? It was the primary motive of Dabur, and the very first range of products always revolved around healthcare. The year 1972 saw Dabur shifting its base to Delhi because you know, the then government offered them a lot of incentives to set up a factory in places like Faridabad or Sahibabad, which are the industrial zones in Delhi. In 1986, it became a public limited company. In 1998, for the first ever time, the CEO was somebody who was a non-Burman, which again means that the company was a family venture, right? Can I have the next slide, please? The issues were mostly similar to the ones faced by Coca-Cola. It was a management-driven family business. It had centralized powers. There was low employee morale and performance, less focus on employee trainings, and there was high employee turnover ratio. So these were the common issues, you know, which were witnessed by Dabur India. Next slide, please. What it did, you know, the steps those were taken, you know, there was OD intervention. All of you must have studied in organizational behavior, that is a thing called OD intervention, organizational development intervention, which means that you hire somebody from outside the organization, maybe a consultancy firm, you discuss your issues, you know, they interview your they take interviews of your employees, and then they come up with certain solutions, and then you know, prioritize and give your preferences and try the first preferred solution. So Dabur India hired McKinsey and Company in 1997 by paying them 80 million rupees. Now, 1 million is 10 lakh, you can all calculate, right? It was a management driven, it became a management driven to people driven company, just like Coca-Cola, where, you know, the controls were relaxed and shared with regions. More objective performance appraisal system was brought into the picture, where you know, the appraisal was directly linked to the performance, and performance was calculated only on the basis of the task assigned, right? And since 1990s or the late 1990s, Dabur also started focusing on the FMCG sector, fast moving consumer goods. So you had this Dabur Red paste and other things. They all come under FMCG sector. Next. That was one of their strategies, you know, just to have a different portfolio under the company's banner. It started establishing performance yardsticks in customer satisfaction, shareholder value, etc. You know, if your customers are satisfied, they are bound to invest in the company. You give them the you give them good returns for their investments, and they'll keep on investing, and they'll help you in making your company grow. Compensation was more performance oriented as compared to previous cases during that period and after that period also. Work and play environment for better employee morale. You know, again, the meetings and reward and recognition ceremonies and programs were conducted outside India, you know, so that the employees also feel proud at whatever they have achieved in the previous year, or they can show it to their friends and relatives. This is what you get when you work hard. You know, I'm sure that all you students, your parents might be having such success stories, so talk to them. You know, they also might have been rewarded by the companies. We need to talk to them, find out what they have done, and then probably make those certain changes in your attitude. Like then, what Dabur did, uh, forming KPAs. Now, this is the term that you will hear the moment you enter your corporates, KPA, that is key performance area. So Dabur identified the key performance area for each employee. It's not for a department, not for the senior level managers or not for the middle level. It was for each employee, each and every individual, right? Everybody was covered and given some or the other key performance area. And as I said, the compensation was performance oriented. Performance was what? Related to your KPAs. Next, the results. With the restructuring moves in place by the late 1990s, the company's future business prospects were termed excellent by the analysts, the business analysts. The annual sales conferences and cash incentives to the junior level sales officer helped in meeting higher sales targets. So, motivational theory that is practiced. Not something which is written, but it was actually practiced. Cash incentives. There's no bigger motivating factor than cash to the lower level or junior level employees, and it helped them in achieving their targets, thereby resulting in the company meeting its own targets and increasing them slowly and surely. This is known as increasing the benchmark. Benchmark is something which means the minimum level which somebody can achieve. So you start working hard, right? And you keep increasing your benchmark and try and achieve more and more. Dabur's sales increased to 10.37 billion in 1999 and 2000, right? As compared to rupees 9 billion in 1998, 1999, an increase of 13.5%, which was the net increase. Dabur's profits also increased from 501 million to 770 million. 1 million again, remember 1 million is 10 lakh. The year was a milestone in Dabur's history as the company crossed rupees 10 billion mark in sales turnover for the first time in the history of the organization. So if you think seriously, the restructuring can work wonders is what we have seen from these two cases. Can I have the next slide? However, every time it doesn't work the way you feel or you want. There could scarcely be a more undisciplined bunch of workers than Indian Airlines' 22,000 employees. It was written in Business India on 25th January 1999. So let's see the curious case of the low-flying Indian Airlines. Can I have the next slide, please? Indian Airlines as an organization started its operations on 1st of August in 1953, and it was rebranded as Indian on 7th of December 2005. Why and how we will see. So after forming the organization and started its operation, this particular organization enjoyed monopoly like anything. There was no competition. People had no options, right? But what went wrong? Almost everything. The monopoly gone berserk. Berserk is going out of control. Led by absolutely poor and pathetic management practices, continuous losses over the years, frequent human resource issues, increased public resentment. Resentment means unhappiness. These were some of the major issues which had to be tackled by the organization. Next slide, please. There was loss of a lot of goodwill due to opposing media. Right? The media again needs something which can be sold. So the media was always against Indian Airlines and its operational practices and overall management practices being run because they had the backing of the government, the company I'm talking about. There was lack of manpower planning. Right? there were clear-cut cases of underutilizing the human resources available. Underutilization means you don't give work, you employ people and you make them sit idle. Don't utilize their talent or their qualities for the benefit of the company. Next. There was no scientific research for job openings or recruitment. Anybody and everybody who wanted a job was given a job in the company. Obviously, some basic entry level criteria were established, but there was no scientific research as the HRs do in today's world. Why do we need a particular position, right? Whom can we hire? What are the skill sets required? What are the qualities required? You can all find it out through various job portals. If you click on any of the job vacancies available, you will see the desired candidate's profile. That will help you in identifying the skills or qualities which are present in you, but probably you're not aware, or maybe you are spelling them the other way. Now, these things which are there on the internet, on the job portals, which are written, usually are termed as keywords, and the HRs usually search by keywords. So all of you must pay attention to all these things, when you frame or reframe your own resumes or biodatas. That is one thing which I would like to share. So scientific research, right? The company did not do any scientific research for job openings or recruitments. And then again, there was existence of this, notorious employee unions. Anything happens, you go to the union. Anything happens, you go to the union. And what does the union do? Strikes. So all these issues, it led to a havoc. I mean, the company was bound to go into losses. There was unnecessary interference by incompetent people from the civil aviation ministry. I mean, anybody and everybody in the government who was not having any kind of an experience was interfering. So that further led to issues, getting bigger and bigger and finally getting out of control. Yeah, can I have the next slide, please? So what happened then? Again, coming back to the 80s or 90s, there was new image building advertisement campaigns. There was a change in the logo. You can always see it on the internet. There were 3 or 4 different logos which I found when I did some research. So there was a lot of image building campaign that was done. The pilots' compensation was brought at par with the private airliners in the late 1990s. And there was competition from Jet Air or Kingfisher or Sahara and other such private uh, players were there in the market then after the government opened up the sector. So the compensation offered to the pilots of Indian Airlines was brought at par with private airlines. It somewhat controlled at least the pilot turnover ratio. I mean, you can probably work without a ticket checker, but you cannot work without a pilot in an airplane. So he was the person who was probably the most influential in making the airlines either profitable or non-profitable. If you have the pilot, only then you can fly or take off. There's no point in having a fleet of 100 air carriers and 70 pilots only, right? Then Alliance Air, which was a subsidiary, it was formed to re-employ the people who had left Indian Airlines and had joined, the other private liners. They were brought back, but not in Indian Airlines, but in Alliance Air, which was a subsidiary formed. Next, substantial wage hike was offered even to the loaders and daily wage workers who were employed. There were additional costs which were bound to incur, were recovered by increasing the airfare by 10%. Productivity linked emolument scheme was launched in the late 1990s. Fleet size was reduced from 54 in 1993 to 41 in 1998. The more you fly, the more you earn. That was for the pilots and the crew. Next. Right. However, on 7th December 2005, the domestic air carrier was rebranded as Indian, Due to extreme competition from private players like Jet, Kingfisher, the company had to shut its shop and it got merged with Air India in 2011. So from 1953 to 2010, it was Indian Airlines, India's biggest domestic air flyer. That was its story, simply because it could not look after its people, right? And it could not follow certain procedures and policies framed by their own company bigwigs. The company had to shut its shop and it got merged with Air India in 2011. So these two or three cases we see that restructuring can be profitable, but at times it can lead to the company closing its shop. Can I have the next slide? That was what I wanted to share. I hope you have got some basic, about how you are going to get evaluated when you join your respective companies. There would be KPIs, there would be a thorough research before employing you. There would be, a lot of watch on you when you join the companies. Your performances would be evaluated. You perform well and you grow, right? There is always a former in a performer. So you have to see where do you sit, whether you sit in the performers group or you join the former group. I was a former employee or I am a performing employee. That's what you need to change. Well, that's all from my side. If you have any questions, we'll
Yeah.
take up a few questions.
Good, Manish. Well covered. Well
Thank you,
covered
sir.
all the case studies.
Thank you, sir.
First
Thank you
question
very
Very
much.
from
good.
me. First question from me.
Yes.
Yes, application of these case studies for
Sorry?
application of these case studies for COVID.
Application of these case studies for COVID,
Yeah.
taking care of employees, taking care of the employees, having adequate security measures, not downsizing the companies. If the company is not in a very, very strong financial position, then at least pay as much as you work. If you are not able to go and join the offices, work from home, separate KPAs for work from home assignments. I think all these things should be implemented. There has to be a close watch on the employees. The employees be made log in through various systems, maybe a mobile device or the laptop to computers. So you join in at 9:30, that is your attendance. You sign off at 5:30, that is, you signed off your work throughout the day and you have to submit daily reports. That can be done during COVID.
One concept can we not emphasize from management driven or board driven to people driven?
Driven. It depends
Yes.
on the kind of sector the company is in.
Across the industry.
Across the industry, if we are if you want to make it management driven to people driven, then we need to establish different control parameters. People need to be more responsible. They need to have integrity and honesty towards the company.
I'm done, Deshpande sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Ashmat, let students put their views first and then Bhave sir will.
Yeah, I request students to put everything or anything they want to say or ask in the chat box only. Don't unmute yourself and ask. That's going to create havoc in the session. Please put your questions in the chat box. So there are two questions, and I must say thank you so much for this. It has been a thorough presentation of the cases, and we are definitely going to be benefited from it. We have some questions in the chat box. Let's see. So there are people. Okay. This question is the three major case studies are all around late 90s. Is there any particular reason that the companies had to do major changes in the policies during this particular period of time? So she's, I think, asking about the policy changes or around the policy development that took place. Any relation with them?
Yeah, I got her point. I mean, it's a good question. See, basically the thing is, if you are into a business, right, you you cannot forecast as to when the bad time is going to come. That is number one. Number two, if you are having such a magnitude which these businesses had, you need to have control measures. The moment you lose your control measures, issues are bound to happen. The time was such that, particularly in India, post 1990, 1991, it was opened up for globalization. There was competition coming in from all directions. Though there was an increase in the rate of employment, but the companies coming up were better paced, better equipped as compared to these companies who were doing businesses in India, in Indian culture, since ages. Probably 3 or 4 decades, the companies that spent Dabur, as we have come to know, it's 1884. So it had throughout these companies had that particular Indian culture. But in 1990, 1991, with the LPG, right? The situation completely changed, and not many were able to envisage such changes. So they had to take certain measures, and they had to do it rapidly. That is why I have taken these things. Again, why? Because now again there's a time where the companies will be restructuring a lot of things. Right? In US, we all know that they have not stopped doing business. They have brought in a simple policy: no work, no pay, which means you are losing out on jobs. So they are caring for their economy. And in India, under certain able leaders, we are caring about our human resources, because, my dear friends, as late Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam sir had said, you are going to be the people who would make India a superpower. So we are taking care, or the government is taking care of the human resources, even if it means that the current lot of executives or employees in every sector probably will have to work more than they have worked till date. But the onus would be on you. So again, this time also, this COVID-19 or 20, we don't know when it's going to end. But it may give you certain challenges. When you join, you will see a completely different picture which was shown to you when you appeared for your placements. So you have to be ready for that change factor. Be the agent, be somebody who's ready to change, right? Be somebody who's able to accept challenges, and only then you can grow, because the more challenges you accept, the stronger you become. The fast paced growth would be witnessed by each and every individual.
Yes.
I think I have answered this query.
Yes, sir, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have more questions. Another one from one of the students is, what major cases can come in front of the company or business after COVID? So you want to ask like that, there will be definitely challenges, and they are facing challenges, but what kind of or what type of major issues organizations are going to face that may need dynamic changes in future, like dynamic restructuring or anything else?
Yeah, or organizations, they are going to face a
Yes,
lot
yes,
of,
please continue.
yeah, the organization is going to face a lot of actual absenteeism from the office.
Hmm.
I mean, can somebody imagine a corporate business house without people? No, we cannot. But this is what the company is going to face. People would be highly reluctant, probably in the areas which are more prone to such kind of diseases or such kind of adversities. People would be less inclined to go to the office. So the first major issue the companies would face would be of reporting. Second issue, the second issue which the company or the businesses may face is, let's talk about the manufacturing sector. I mean, how do you assure that the raw material coming in is free from any kind of affection? Don't have any mechanism for that. Companies may come up with their own mechanisms to test the quality. So again, expenditure on ensuring quality would increase. Now, how would you balance it out? You will have to increase the costs, but salaries are not increasing. what we will find is the prices of the products, right? Prices of the products would be increased, but to that effect, the salaries probably may never increase. It will be a difficult exercise for the individuals to balance it out, right? So on one side you have the salary issues, on the other side you have issues regarding the qualities or issues regarding the actual presence of the human being at the workplace. On the third side you may have issues regarding transportation or your supply chain management, right? And we are not sure as to when this pandemic or lockdown is going to get completely over, so we have to live with this kind of adjustments that we are doing right now. But yes, the kind of luxury which we used to enjoy earlier probably would not be there for a few years from now. So there are issues on the front of I mean, let's say employee front or profits front or finances front, so quality front. Now the government is trying to promote Atmanirbhar baniye, right? Be self-reliant. My question is, take a simple example of the light series that you put up during Diwali. What would you prefer, a 70 rupee series or a 400 rupees light series, right? Obviously, we're not going to talk more about that 70 rupees thing which we easily get, but how do we get it so easily? Has anybody ever analyzed? We get it at that cheap rate because it is manufactured at 10 different places. It may not be called as manufacturing, it is purely assembling. House number 1 lights, house number 2 filaments, house number 3 the wirings, house number 4 the packing, house number 5 cardboard packing, house number 6 dispatch, house number 7 supply. So everybody is getting business. With the kind of population that we have, we may adopt to that module where every house gets some or the other business. I hope this is pretty clear. I mean, this is
Definitely.
what my understanding is about being self-reliant. Everybody should get work so that everybody can earn. That ways we get quality. That ways the companies may face, lesser issues. That ways we don't feel the pinch of getting or becoming unemployed or not getting employed.
Yeah.
Always have a plan B, my dear students. Always have a plan B for you.
We need to have a plan B because and there is no other option right now in front of us.
Correct.
Yeah. So more questions. We can't take all of them. Almost major questions. Or most of the questions are asking about the same thing. So I guess that has been covered. This one question is that the central issue in the cases is poor human resource management.
Right.
What other dimensions can be highlighted? Do you think what other dimensions were involved in this case?
Finances, supply chain, right?
Hmm.
Like I discussed in the case of Coca-Cola, there were financial bugglings. Now, why did it come up? Probably because at some or the other point, probably the remuneration was not paid on time. It was paid in less numbers, or it can be, there could be many issues, right? There can be a issue of having a monopolistic attitude. There can be issues in the finance department. There could be issues with supply chain. There could be issues with the entire market. There could be issues with the quality of the product, right? There can be issues with ego, as was probably the case in Indian Airlines, right? Whatever was practiced overturned. I mean, they increased the remuneration, increased the wages, reduced the fleet size, pay as per performance, incentives as per performance. Still, maybe the sheer thinking in those cases, the sheer thinking that this is a government-owned company, so nothing is going to happen, right? So complacency, all these issues probably can come up again now also. So all of us need to be on our toes and now have plan C, D, and E. A and B are covered. So C, D, and E have multiple options.
Do you think that every organization can afford to have all CDE plans, especially when it comes to small and medium scale industries and organizations or new startups or something like that?
See, according to me, if you have if you want my honest opinion, this probably is the best time to, go into a startup.
Okay.
Try, try
Right.
to try to identify products which have shortage in the markets. Try to
Mm.
manufacture and capture the
Mm.
market. There are
Okay.
plenty of government facilities available to start your ventures now that the government has relaxed the norms of lockdowns. Those who are interested can go to the banks, have some inquiry done, see what suits them the best, and go for the option. As for the companies, they will have to think of innovative ideas, so the focus would be more on the research and development wing,
Mm.
because the traditional concepts, traditional products probably now will not work. Right
Right.
now, what I
Right.
feel is those who want to have even a profit of rupee one probably would start dealing in seasonal businesses also,
Mm.
right?
Yes. Right.
So this is what I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is like survival of the fittest thing Darwin's theory working on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have one more question is what will be the
Right.
new normal for business, your perspective? The new normal for business or new normal of for organization after
Those.
this?
Yeah. So those who have so far not reached to their break even in terms
Yeah.
of the money amount invested, the in terms of time, you know.
Mm.
So reaching there probably would be the new normal. Probably they can consider that during such times, where everything is against you. I mean, if we have a look at it, the nature is against us as of now. You're not permitted to go out or do your business as usual. So even reaching to your break even probably would be a new normal. Reducing your profit margins to below 50% probably would be a new normal. It depends on the kind of mindset which the companies have. This is what
Okay.
I feel. Yeah.
Just two last questions. One is, what do you think about all these special packages which government tries to put down as their part of or their part of share or their doings to help the organization? So these special packages, the efficiency of their percolation to the organizations for which they are meant for, or for the sector which they are meant for, the
See,
efficiency, like
help. Yeah, help is on offer.
yeah.
You take it or you leave it. If you leave it, there's no point in saying that the government is not doing anything. Government is doing anything and everything which it can,
Hmm.
right? If you don't accept someone else's help, there's no point in cribbing that nobody's helping me out. That's number one. Number two, the packages which are announced, they have been announced, by keeping in mind each and every sector. Hereafter probably we will see the definitions being changed for small, medium, and high scale industries. I'm talking purely from the financial point of view. That 1 to 10 lakh and 10 to 1 crore, 1 crore and above. So it may reduce. This is what I feel. That is why I said that this is the best times. If somebody is absolutely positive, this is the best time to have a serious thought about starting something, because you have a lot of help on offer. you know
Right,
and
right.
and it is not restricted to any particular sector,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah.
that, according to me, people should take benefit. Those who are in the position, or those who are thinking about it, they must take the
Mm.
benefit.
Yes, yes. Last question is your serious advice to students. There are final year students of MBA and and also many of the first year students of MBA. And
Okay.
what they're definitely impacted with this, but what should be or what must be done by their side, from their side?
See, you can discuss among yourself, your friends, your family, your elders,
Mm.
but number one, according to me, a decision should be yours. See,
Mm.
I'm a sports fanatic, so I like a lot of people from the sporting arena. I love Muhammad Ali very much,
Mm.
right? There was this famous dialogue from him which I keep on telling to my students also at Raisoni Group. There's no decision such as a correct decision. You have to take a decision and act in such a fashion where it gets converted into a correct decision, right? all of
That's
you all of you are young, not many of you have any kind of liability on you, so this is probably the best chance for you to get into the market, get deep into the market with full aggression, form partnerships, try to do some business, even if unwillingly, even if you fail, nobody's going to scold you. At least you have tried something. At least you have tried to do something which others have not done. And think about it very, very seriously. Instead of just posting your resumes everywhere, try to get some resumes to you. Evaluate yourself. If you are not competing with people from Nagpur, you're going to compete with people from Pune, Mumbai, Delhi. And please, I mean, don't have any kind of complex that you are less as compared to others, right? There should not be any kind of inferiority complex. It's just that what you study, what you gain, and how you apply. So
जी.
for me, application is more important. It can be anything. You can, if somebody is good cook, you start your tiffin services, entrepreneurship. Somebody is a good dancer, start a dance class, entrepreneurship. You cannot define entrepreneurship, right? There are so many things which you can do. If you want, you can have even, I mean, a chain of tapris, attractive chai ka tapri hota hai na, वैसा. Have 10 or 15 such stalls throughout the city. Make your own brand. Brands don't happen overnight. Have
Yes.
a team of 5 or 10. It's a simple thing. Look around you. How many new such tea stalls have come up? Attractive tea stalls in various squares. There are agencies which are ready to, give sub agencies or outlets. So try to think from that point of view as well.
Yes, yes.
And be positive. We have to live with this. This is a fact. You cannot stay at home 24/7. This is also a fact. So you have to live with whatever is on offer. But don't feel depressed, right? When you don't feel happy, you say I'm under depression. There's the definition for depression is uh, pretty different. And please spare some time for your own self. Less time to PUBG and more time for positive thinking.
That's a very valuable advice and must be followed.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you
Okay.
so much. I mean, I must say, it has really gonna benefit, and it has benefited us. The lecture is recorded. I'll also put it on YouTube, so you can go through it again and everything. So we'll
Yeah.
just have we have last 10 minutes. So we'll have some concise comments from Bhavi sir, Deshpande sir,
Okay.
and if I guess Chao sir is there, but he said I'm done, but it's fine. Okay, Bhavi sir, your comments. Nikita, please can you unmute him. भाभी सर थोड़ा अनम्यूट कीजिए ना अपने आप को मैं कर नहीं सकती बिकॉज आई एम नॉट द होस्ट एक सेकेंड आप अनम्यूट कीजिए
भावे सर अनम्यूट करूं अनम्यूट
I be heard?
now you are
Now we
heard
can hear you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Manish. It's very overwhelming to see you performing because I have been seeing you as a 16-year-old,
Yes.
and rest is the history. let me tell you, Manish at that time, he was a cricket fanatic. And if he could ever make cricket a career, I think probably he would have been the happiest man. But he has also made into an excellent teacher. So my congrats to you.
Thank you.
And I'm very happy to hear you today. Very organized. Towing line from what he said last is keep doing something. One of my chief executives always said that when somebody made a big mistake at site in 1968, we had to pay thousands of rupees for that. So people asked him, what will you do to the employee? And the chief engineer said, nothing. They said, why? He said, because he made mistake. That means he's working. And that was the statement ached in my mind. Only when you work, you shall make mistakes. And he always used to advise, as young engineers to us, he used to tell us, take decisions, right or wrong. Some of them will turn out wrong, don't bother, but be in the habit of taking decisions. Next, I would like to comment about Indian Airlines, because I traveled in 2000 from Calcutta to Singapore, and air hostesses, I found all Mashimas and Pishimas. That means 45 plus with spectacles and with a frown on their face. Mashima means Masi and Pishima means ये क्या बोलते हैं father's sister. What do you call हिंदी में?
बुआ बुआ
बुआ. हाँ. तो सब मासियां और बुआएं थी. As we were coming back from Singapore, we traveled Indian Airlines. Me, my wife, and daughter. So one Mashima came to me. I'm an air hostess, and she asked me, "You want which? Non-veg. You want which? Non-veg. You want which?" So she almost, pounced on me and said, "What do you want? Veg or non-veg? Tell me quickly." So I told her veg, and then she turned to my wife. My wife said, "We would like to check. If it's good, we will have 2 non-veg." She said, No. Tell me quickly. So they said 2 non-veg. And then we were flying. Then they announced that we were landing at Calcutta, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose Airport and all. So my wife said, "Did you eat anything?" I said, "No." She said, "That veg did not come." I said, "No." And I said, "One day if I don't eat, nothing happens." my wife said, "They should have all sadhus like you on the flight." But jokes apart, the service was so poor. I mean, I've found this on any other airlines. My experience about Jet Airways was very different. I shall not quote it here, but it was excellent. From Bombay to London, excellent. Even Korean air hostesses, I have never seen other air hostesses. Korean air hostesses, they will kneel down, come down to your head level and talk to you. I mean, for them, it is really punishing, but what politeness. Koreans and all, politeness personified. Lastly, I would like to share a few things. Like, this is a time, I think, we all are groping in the dark, and a huge perception change is bound to come in. Number one, the old saying, "Seeing is believing," will change. When not seen, someone could be working very hard. And most of the people are doing it now, work from home. Second, movement means performance. ईद का बाजार लगा है, भीड़ है, बहुत धंधा हो रहा है. Not at all. बाजार खाली दिखेगा, पर माल भरपूर बिकता होगा. Home delivery. So movement need not be seen, but there could be activity going on. Thirdly, connectivity. Without face-to-face meeting will go down to minimal, but connectivity will be continued. We must thank all the electronic gadgets for that, or gadgets like this where we can virtually meet. And lastly, more alternatives shall be thrown up, like Manish sir was mentioning about startups and all. So more focus on alternatives, alternative material, alternative methods, alternative employment methods, alternative product services, and alternative to logistics. I mean, these are my thoughts offhand for today. Thank you.
Your wisdom, sir, I must say.
Ashwant,
Like always.
I need a minute.
Yes. Then we move to Deshpande, sir.
Before Deshpande, sir.
Go ahead.
So my only comment is this restructuring is relevant in COVID days. This is what every HR manager across the industry should undertake immediately, because at some places you may have to increase the human resources, at some places you may have to reduce the human resources, and you have to take a pragmatic view. And the objective should be management driven to stakeholder driven. I'm not just limiting it to the people driven, I'm extending it to stakeholder driven. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
That's management driven to stakeholder driven, adding more people in.
Right.
Thank you so much. Now we move to Deshpande, sir, who has been very patient with us. Thank you so much, sir. You're always there.
Thank you. I must appreciate Manish. It was a wonderful presentation, and you have covered so well. And whatever the points you have made, though the issues and the cases they were related to 1999, Coca-Cola and others, but whatever the kind of problems these companies faced and the way they handled, I think it is quite relevant. And I would say that it is creditable because you have made the presentation in front of Bhave sir, Shriyari Saab, and that is really, really creditable. And I think you would get a lot many inputs, and it's a learning experience for you.
Yes,
I am very happy the way you have made the presentation and you have reacted to the questions asked by our dear students.
thank you.
And the point which you made and Bhave sir also made, that is keep doing something, and therefore I will also do something and make my comments in order to find out how one can look at these case studies. The points which came out of these 3 case studies, particularly Indian Airlines. Now, you have mentioned very well that how monopoly creates problem, and then when it goes out of control,
Yes,
what kind of difficulties individual companies can face, and the media and the way media plays role, that also matters, and therefore you have to find out how to have the perfect communication with media in order to maintain the goodwill of any organization. Of course, the point was relating to the increase in fuel price during that period, and probably fall in international crude oil price. It was not transferred, and therefore the cost involved in fuel, particularly in the aviation sector, it was quite high as far as the Indian Airlines is concerned. If you work out, near about 45% was the cost involved in the fuel pricing, and that probably was one of the important reasons. And along with this, that is aviation turbine fuel, that price particularly has gone up by more than 30%, and that has affected the cost of Indian Airlines, apart from the other important issues which you talked about, scientific research and other things. Now, as far as these 2 companies are concerned, what is important to see is the performance appraisal, the point which you have made. I think that is very much essential to go on finding out where you are committing mistakes, and that continuous monitoring mechanism needs to be adopted by every individual organization. The another important point which I feel is about the decentralization. And Coca-Cola and the Dabur both have brought this particular issue that unless you have decentralization,
you cannot.
you cannot make success. And therefore that decentralization has helped Coca-Cola, because at different regions you find that they have spread their activities, and that has helped them. Another important issue is about the diversification, which Dabur did.
Abercrombie.
And unless you have diversification, you won't be able to survive in the market. Of course, along with this, Coca-Cola has shown us that you should have control on extravagant expenses. And if you go on spending like that, then it creates problem. And work and play environment, very important point made by you. And that is also quite relevant. The last and the most important issue is about the increase your benchmark. And that is the message not only from the point of view of the performance of these companies, but even for students. Your benchmark should be so high, your goal should be so high that it should be difficult to achieve. Once you achieve the goal, then nothing would be left. And therefore, keeping goal high, keeping your benchmark at the highest possible level, that should be the objective of every individual as well as individual companies. And then, of course, as Dr. Shriyari Chava pointed out, restructuring is the key issue. And these kinds of problems, they are going to come now onwards every now and then. And therefore, you have to get prepared yourself, you have to plan. And that is what good companies, they can visualize that what problems they are going to face. And therefore, lot many changes are going to take place now. And every individual companies, they have to prepare for it. And that is the important message which came out of the 3 case studies which you have shown. So thank you so much. I'm thankful to Dr. Manish Chava, as well as all the students, those who have joined from Raisoni and our department students. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
a very
Thank
good
you.
presentation and good learning experience. Thank you.
Decentralization. And yeah, so key points where you're setting decentralization, diversification, and workplace environment. That's very well put, sir. Thank you so much. Like always, you always have the data handy with you. That's interesting. So as of for now, I think we are done with the questions and inputs. And I really honestly mean thank you so much, sir, Manish, sir, for joining us today, for doing so for especially the students from Raisoni College, Raisoni Department of Management who joined us in great numbers. And thanks to the invitees and thanks to everyone. Thanks to the teachers who are with us every time, Deshpande sir, Bhabe sir, the other Java sir, Sri Hari sir, who has been with us for more than 15 days, and really thankful to him also. So I think we should wind up now, and I'll just share one piece of information for everyone who has joined us
Ashmat,
today.
Ajay Chava joined from US. So if he is here, we can place on record our appreciation and sincere thanks to him also.
Oh, thank you so much, sir, for joining us. I'm just trying to look it.
He is
What
from
is his
Los
name?
Angeles.
Yeah. I can't find his name, but I definitely heartiest thanks to him also for joining, and to everyone who keeps on joining us. So just one piece of information I want to share with everyone that probably in few days we're going to have a panel discussion like the one we also had previously on economic. It was on the impact of COVID-19 on Indian economy. You can find the video in the YouTube channel, which you have been watching live on. But there is going to be a panel discussion on the strategies post COVID-19. So we're going to have a diverse panel, and also Deshpande sir will be a member of it, a part of it. So I'll share the details, and I'll request you to join that one also, either through Zoom or through YouTube. And this was also a live stream on YouTube, and the video will be posted on YouTube as well. So thank you again, and I think we should wrap now. It's time. Thank you so much. Thank you
All
so
right.
much, Manish.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Ashmat,
My
for
pleasure, sir, as
coordinating
always.
so well as
Yeah,
usual.
that.
Thank you.
It's my
Bye,
pleasure.
bye, everyone.
I thank you, sir. A
Okay,
lot of
thank
people
you.
thanking you, a lot of students thanking you in the chat box. So I think I've conveyed. So thank you so much. We are signing off.
Thank you, Ashmat. Yeah, thank you, Ashmat. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for your patient listening. I
It's a
hope this
pleasure.
is a value addition to the
Yeah,
students.
yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah.